Howdy, folks. I'm Legalistic Libra, lawfully liberating lovable leopards.
I'm Amber.
And here are more lovable leopards for us to liberate. I don't know why we're releasing them upon the city and its inhabitants, but I guess that's what we're doing because we're the scales.
We're not releasing them on the city. We're freeing them from their, entrapment and letting them go live in the wild.
I gotcha.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Let's get started. Freeing them into the forests. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Making It Clear that this is my kid too, and the baby blanket is staying even if it doesn't match her theme of the nursery? Edit, if you can't comment without insulting my wife, then don't comment. If you can't make your point without calling names, then don't comment. I am a very, very frustrated and annoyed person. Some backstory. My late mother used to make baby blankets for any of the new members of the family. I'm the youngest of the family of 4, and my mom has just passed away. I thought that I would never get a blanket for our child since my mother is dead. My dad gave me a baby blanket that he made. Apparently, he started to learn how to make them when mom was diagnosed. I can't even explain how happy I was when I saw it. It is a perfectly good blanket, even if it is a bit ugly. I want to make it clear that it functions perfectly and isn't a hazard at all. It's just clear that it was his first time really making it, and his color choice is unique. It's pink, blue, and green striped. I personally love it and put it in our nursery for when our child is born. My wife moved it and it wasn't even in the room anymore. I asked her why and she said that she doesn't want it in there. I told her that it's for our kid and that I went and put it back into the nursery. She told me no, and this started an argument. She eventually admitted that she hates it since it doesn't match the nursery theme at all. More argument, and I told her that it's my kid too, that she is awful for not allowing the blanket made by my child's grandparents since it doesn't match her theme. She called me a jerk and left for the day. Alright folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. What the wife is doing here is needlessly cruel. I understand liking to have things that match, but very quickly the kid is going to get toys and clothes that don't match the nursery theme, and you just have to kind of roll with it. This blanket has huge sentimental value to OP, and it could be a great bonding for the child and the grandfather, pass down that memory and that tradition. So I think OP's wife is putting her personal tastes above what really matters.
Yeah, I think that she's favoring aesthetic over family and sentiment, right? And certainly there's a time and place for aesthetic, but when it comes to a heartfelt gift made by, the father in this way where OP wasn't even expecting this gift, it's a really touching, heartfelt thing, and it means more than a color scheme. And I can understand OP being upset to some degree because probably she has in her mind that she just wants everything absolutely perfect, and now here comes this blanket and it throws a wrench into that idea, that perfection that she has. But sometimes when you're, art is sometimes good because of its imperfections and not necessarily because of its perfection.
Well, and I mean, babies, they're messy. Everything in that nursery is going to get messy because babies are messy. So any idea of perfection is going to be very, very quickly dismantled.
Yeah, so I think that there is a conversation that's warranted, and maybe if things can't get ironed out between the two of you, potentially couples therapy and discussing, the importance of things like this in relationships, because it sounds like OP really does love their wife, and this is just kind of like a minor disagreement between them. So
right, there needs to be a place of compromise because, like OP was saying, this is his child too, this is his house too, and they should both be able to have a say over the child's nursery.
Yeah. Well, and I guess it's difficult when the compromise is either have it or don't have it, because at that point in time, how are you supposed to compromise?
Well,
right?
I mean, she's gotten to take over the entire nursery, is
Yeah.
what I mean. So there should be a compromise where he gets to add a few items to the nursery. That shouldn't be an issue.
No, I agree on that. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Wolf Waiter says, not the jerk, come up with a theme that matches the blanket. And OP replies, the room theme is light purple and white. She isn't going to want to change it to match a blanket that she thinks is ugly. And Wolf Waiter says, suggest wife change it. They just told you. No.
I mean, it might open up, like, maybe don't approach it like that, but there might be a conversation to be had about why she gets to dictate the entire color scheme and why OP doesn't have a say.
Yeah. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Sleeping with My Frenemy on My Wedding Day? For reference, this happened 5 years ago, but I was confronted about it recently. I am a very boring person, and this was literally the only dramatic thing that has ever happened to me in my life. 6 years ago, my fiance proposed to me, and I was thrilled. We planned a beautiful, intimate wedding. I've always gotten along with his friends and family. His mother adores me. We disagree, but we didn't argue. We always found ways to resolve our problems. Inside and out, we were a great couple. I never thought that he would literally leave me at the altar. Our families, friends, and even the officiator kept trying to reassure me, but almost 2 hours after the ceremony was supposed to start, I got a call saying that he got cold feet and he didn't want to get married. He wanted to get more out of life before being tied down. I did some things that I'm not proud of. I begged my mom to get me out of the dress, and I tore the stupid thing. I left the wedding after everyone kept looking at me with pitying eyes. I fended off a lot of calls from friends and family telling them that I was fine and that I didn't want to talk. Here's the thing that I was called a jerk for. I have a frenemy. We've known each other since middle school. He's always been a class clown bully. I was not attractive growing up, and he would jokingly flirt with me and try to annoy me as much as possible. He never really grew out of those things either. So when he called to check up on me, or really didn't rub it in my face that I was dating a loser who dumped me on my wedding day, he asked if I wanted to hook up with him, and I said yes because my life was ruined anyways. What could be worse? He picked me up and we slept together. He is the second person I had been with, the first being my fiance. It wasn't religious. I just saw it as special that we were each other's first and only. My fiance eventually didn't feel the same. I blocked my fiance, as did the rest of my family. His mom profusely apologized and said that his late father would never have approved of what he did. Now my ex-fiance contacted me recently. He wanted closure, he says. He apologized for ghosting me, but then he immediately said that it didn't justify me sleeping with someone else the night of our wedding. I told him that it wasn't a healthy thing to do, but I've gotten comments from his friends and families that I acted badly and that they would have left me too. I don't even know what I did wrong, and am I the jerk here? All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. I mean, I feel really bad for OP in this situation. Like, that's such a horrible thing to do to a person, to just leave them at the altar. And so I don't blame her, like, for... I also feel like the frenemy isn't necessarily a very good person either. They seem kind of not very nice. But I don't fault OP for making the decision she did. It's clear she was struggling.
Yeah, well, I mean, people do dramatic things in dramatic situations, and maybe she needed this very dramatic thing to signal the end of the relationship, right? Because it's clear that he wanted the relationship to end, and OP, and in some ways may have felt like this was like a way to kind of blow off steam, I guess. And I don't think that OP did anything wrong. They were perfectly, their relationship was over, right? It wasn't like they were going to get back together after he ran away at the altar and said, oh, actually, I'm not interested in marrying you right now.
Yeah, I gotta be a party boy for a little while.
Yeah. So he's criticizing her because she went and blew off steam on what was supposed to be the happiest day of their lives, but he blew it. He could have slept with her on their wedding day, but he chose not to.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
There was no wedding day. No wedding happened, so you can't have a wedding night if there's no wedding.
Yeah, exactly. There was no wedding. No wedding night. Plain and simple. The guy just needs to get over himself. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And First Environment 418 says, not the jerk. I don't know about anyone else, but I see as being left at the altar as a breakup. I don't know how he expected to come back from that, if that was his plan. Maybe his backup plan fell through, and you don't owe him anything. And OP replies, he apparently reached out a few days after the wedding, but by then I had blocked him. Good.
Mm-hmm.
And Big Alternative 3233 says, are you still in touch with a frenemy? And OP replies, yes, he comes over to my apartment pretty often. He basically lives with me. No, OP, you're not the jerk. Apparently, you have a relationship, at least with this other person at this point in time. Eggs and Beer Keg says, night of your wedding, you didn't have a wedding. He gets no say in anything that you do ever again. You should have told him that you were glad because you didn't know what you were missing either. And leave him to mull over that for the rest of his life. And OP replies, we had booked a lovely hotel room for our wedding night. I never got to use it. At least I get a vacation even though I went on my honeymoon alone. Alright folks, and our next letter is an update. Update, I broke up with my ex that got the $87,000 truck, which I found out was actually $95,000. So we read this one the other day. Basically, they were going to move in with each other, but he went and purchased a big truck before doing that, and OP dumped them for it. Yeah, so I broke up with him mainly because I realized that we aren't financially compatible. Before I get into what happened, I do want to say something. I understand that we weren't married, but we were both planning on moving together into a new place and had several discussions about this move and our future plans, including marriage. For the people who private message me say that it's his money and he can do whatever he wants, or you're only in a 2-year relationship, you're not a wife, I know that, and I never asked what it was in his bank account or told him what to do financially. I'm aware that it is his money, but I also know his financial situation, and he was making decisions without my input that, if we were, say, together, would not only affect him, but also our relationship and our financial situation for years to come. I will die on this hill. It's not okay, and if it's okay for you, then that's fine, but it's not okay for me. If we make a financial plan together, and you make a huge decision without me, I won't be okay with that, and that's a big reason why I backed out of moving into a new apartment with him. I would never have made a decision like this without his input at all. The main reason why we decided to move in together was to take the next step in our relationship, but also to pay down our debts. I now have $22,000 debt from student loans and a car. When I met him, though, it was around $60,000, and I was basically living off of credit cards. Within the first couple of months of us dating, I saw how hard he worked with a salary of $85,000, that he was making a huge progress in paying off all his loans and credit cards. On my end, at the time, I was only making $50,000. I honestly saw his work ethic and was like, wow, and got serious about my debt. I got a second part-time job where I was making $32,000 a year, bringing my salary to $82,000. I did that so that I could pay off my debts faster, but also so that we could be on equal footing when we moved in together, and he didn't have to pay significantly more in living expenses than me when he had more debt. We did a complete budget months before we moved in together and realized that we each could have about $700 extra a month to put towards our own individual budgets. This is why the purchase of the truck was so surprising to me. We had planned this for months before moving in. We had a budget, and he destroyed that plan with a truck. If he wanted a new car, there are plenty of cars that he could have gotten that would have fit into the $700 a month surplus that he had. Anyways, for the past few days before we broke up, he tried to show me that his truck was a good financial purchase and that we could still move in together. He told me that he actually had budgeted for this and could show me how he could afford this. I wanted to hear him out, so I went over to his place and he had 2 budgets. He said that he had been thinking of getting this truck for some time and that he had worked out a budget beforehand. He showed me his first budget, and after his truck, insurance expenses, and debts, he was left with $115 for the month. I noticed with the first budget, he didn't include groceries, his hobbies, or going out, or even gas for his car. I asked him how $115 a month would be enough to live off for the entire month. I asked him how he could afford all of this and his truck, and if he planned to give up some of things. He said no, that he didn't plan to get anything up, and that he could make everything work on his budget. I asked him what if he had an emergency or needed gas for his truck, and he kept just saying that it would all work out, and without explaining how. After I saw the first budget, I asked to see the documents for the car, and that's how I figured out that the truck was priced at $95,000 after taxes, registration, and fees. He traded in his reliable 2003 Toyota and all of his savings to get a loan at 14% for 72 months. His monthly payment is now $1,966 and his insurance is $573. He also still has student loans, which are significant. I kept telling him that $115 left over monthly wasn't enough. That's when he showed me his second budget, which had a combined higher monthly income. I asked him if he was getting a second job, and he said due to his job relying on him to be on call, he couldn't. I asked where the income was coming from, and he said this: "Well, you're getting a raise soon." I froze because I had mentioned this raise once, months ago. My first job is my career job, and I work in a field where when you hit a certain milestone, you get a pay bump. In September, if my pay raise is approved, I will go from $50,000 a year to $80,000 a year. And with my second job, my total yearly income would be $112,000. But getting the raise isn't guaranteed. You have to meet certain criteria, and if you don't, you have to wait 3 months before trying again. When he said that, I was quiet, and then I said, "So you planned a budget that included additional income that I wouldn't get for at least 6 months, and income that I might not even get in September." He said when I got my raise, the ratio of what he would pay would decrease and he would have more disposable income. I asked him why it was okay for him to plan budgets with my income, but yet I had no say in how he spent his. He couldn't answer that. I told him that I had no issue with paying more bills if I got a raise, but the fact that he banked on that and didn't discuss it and now expects me to be okay with it is ridiculous. I also said that there's no way that I would be paying more with the first budget because he wouldn't have been able to survive on $115. I told him that he didn't communicate, and this is on him because he made huge financial plans without discussing anything. Finally, I told him that I would never have done any of this without going to him first because I thought that we were a team and that we were building something. I ended things the next day, and he has been trying to reach out to me, but I'm not interested. He has financially crippled himself with his truck. If, with my new income now, he could barely make it, he sure isn't going to be making it on his own. I really hope things that work out for him and that he is able to keep his truck and recover, but I'm not paying for the consequences of such a massive financial mistake that is going to hugely affect him for years to come. If I were to stay, this financial decision affects me as well and would continue to affect both of us for years. Again, this is different from becoming ill or losing a job. He chose this and refuses to budge and fix it. Now I realize that we are not financially compatible and that's okay, and I wish him the best. Edit, thanks to everyone for all the support. I don't hate my ex and I really hope he is able to recover from this. It was such a learning lesson for me in how one mistake can ruin you financially. It has made me even more cautious, but also determined to keep working towards a better financial future for myself. Alright folks, what do you think?
Well, OP, I think you made the right choice. It sounds like he was spending your money you didn't even have, without your consent, but you didn't get a say in his finances. Like, the utter hypocrisy of that man.
Yeah.
But good on OP for taking her finances so seriously. It sounds like she's made really good progress, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think that OP has learned a valuable lesson here. I feel bad for OP in the respect that she, had this great relationship or seemed like it was great. Then their partner went and made this very poor financial decision, and it kind of like rocked her whole life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's great that OP is going to be able to pay down all of their debt. I mean, $23,000 left is not a huge amount, so I'm glad that they're going to be able to pay that off soon. And hopefully they'll also get that promotion here soon, and they'll be left with even more money. Maybe even be able to drop that other job. Who knows, right? But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
What do the undead use to open doors?
Well, they use their hands, Amber. Like, that's what they have, right? It's not like they're undead without hands. It's not like they're limbless undead. They still have their fingers, all their digits.
Skeleton keys.
Oh, skeleton keys. That makes a lot of sense.
There's a picture. I added a little skull into the key, so using Canva, they're all Canva images, but I was very proud of myself.
And I have licorice spice. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy, wonderful Wednesday, hump day, Friday Junior's Eve. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please, Have it on relationship decisions.
Relationships are about compromise, not unilateral decisions.
That is a good moral. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.